Good morning, boys and girls. We are back and better than ever on Saturday, April 10th, and it is a Saturday unlike any other because it is Masters Saturday. We've made it to Masters weekend. We've been treated to two Masters tournaments in the last 5 months here, and I can't say that I have any bad juju vibes about it. I'm loving every second of having two Masters within the last 5-6 months. But I'm going to bring in my host here, JT. JT, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We got a lot of golf to watch today, a lot of other things going on too. And if they want to just start doing two Masters per year, I'm not going to complain about that.
And so that was a question that came up. If you could get two Masters a year, let's say we bookend the Masters tournament, right? It's the first major and the last major, and therefore we technically would get two Masters back to back every year. What major would you get rid of? Because one has to go.
Do you have your answer picked out already?
I have my answer. Would you like me to go?
Yeah, okay. You go first. I want to hear your opinion on it.
So mine's going to be the British Open, and here's why. It has nothing to do with the allure of the tournament. It has nothing to do with it not being on American soil. It's got nothing to do with the traditional reasons most people don't like the British Open. Mine is pure laziness. I can't stand having to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the coverage. And if I sleep in a little bit on a Saturday and I wake up at 10 o'clock, I've missed half of the final pairings final round or whatever round they're in. So just because of the timing of it, I know the easy answer might actually be the PGA because people forget that that's a major. A lot of people think that the Players is one of the majors, and it's not. The Players consider it the fifth major, but it's not. So mine would be, if I could get two Masters a year, I would give up the British Open to have that happen.
The British Open is always such an interesting one, though. Like I love some of the courses that they play at, and I love how just difficult those courses over there are. The wind is usually swirling. You've got, if you don't hit in the fairway, you're usually in some real thick stuff. I don't think I could get rid of that one. I think I'd have to go with the PGA. I like it because the U.S. Open is always I think the toughest one. The British Open, there's just so many options, but I think I'm going to go with the PGA just because that's the least interesting one to me.
Fair enough. All right, so we're both keeping the U.S. Open. Okay, so we're both keeping the U.S. Open, and you're going to go with the PGA, and I respect that. Look, the British Open, it's always fun to watch golfers struggle. I think that's part of why we love the British Open.
It makes me feel like I could be out there.
Exactly. Like I could do that. Right. So it's okay. I got a funny story though. I have a friend that went to Scotland and he played St. Andrews and he got to the famed road hole where you have to hit over the hotels. Right. And the hotels aren't really in play. You can take an aggressive line over from what he was saying, where their tee boxes are. If you wanted to take an aggressive line, you could do with that. So the wind was behind him, and of course he did. Of course he took the aggressive line, and he shankopotamused, and he took out one of the hotel windows.
Oh wow! I would like to see their insurance policy to see how much money they have to put down to cover that.
It's a little more extensive, I think, than just running into old Betty's backyard and at your local muni and having to deal with the homeowners association.
Yeah.
So, but we are here. We are Brewed Bets, where the coffee is strong, the bets are stronger. We are presented by Pale Horse Coffee. We are still sipping on the Patriot blend, and it is still pleasing. It has not gotten boring. It is easily in my top 3. I know, JT, it jumped up the charts to yours, and it's your favorite coffee.
Yeah.
But shout out to Pale Horse Coffee for doing this. We promise we'll get a new blend in here once we can finish the bags that we bought. Maybe we split a bag next time instead of buying.
That might be the move because, I definitely do want to see what all these other ones are about. And I definitely needed this morning. I clicked the strong button. I had a late night last night, so I'm glad that this could get me rolling today.
Absolutely. So shout out to Pale Horse Coffee for getting us the magic bean juice that makes us go in the morning. So we're all going to start the way we do every Saturday. We're going to do the 3-2-1, and then Jake's going to present his good bets for the weekend, and then we'll go back down and break it down with why we think those are good bets. So the 3-2-1, 3 good bets for me this weekend. Spieth and Thomas to finish in the top 5. I took this bet earlier in the week, so I don't know what the odds are like now. You cannot parlay them because it's considered the same result of the same event. So I'm not parlaying them. I just think that you're going to see those two names in the top 5. I thought that at the beginning of the week, and I'm going to roll with it. The top lefty performer in the tournament, I like Bubba to be that guy. And then I'm actually going with Justin Thomas to win. I think that's a really good bet. We talked about that a lot, and we'll get into it a little bit more. My 2 locks for the weekend, Marlins and Mets over 7 runs. I'll get into that a little bit later. And Houston, or Houston, as I typed it in there. The Houston Astros -1.5 today. I like that. And then my one upset, I know I got a lot of friends that watch this that are Yankees fans, so I'm sorry. But I'm taking Tampa Bay plus the 1.5. Look, y'all can still win. I just think that Tampa Bay is going to be within a 1.5. So I'm going to throw it back over to JT. JT, what are your good bets looking like this weekend?
We've got some battles here. We're going to be going against each other in a few of these. I've got Marlins Mets under 7. But for some reason, I'm a big under better in baseball. That seems to be my trend where I lean most of the time. But
you won over last week for the first time and lost. So
so I mean, I'm
there was
staying
any
away.
Opportunity, you got scarred.
Staying away from it. I'm also taking Cubs Pirates under 8.5. I'm a Pirates fan. I know what to see in that game, and that there's not going to be a lot of runs scored. And then this one, I haven't seen it on the books yet, but closer to game time, you should be able to find it. You say Kikuchi for the Mariners. I'm going to take his over in his strikeouts prop. I'll get into that later on. And then I've got A's money line as my underdog pick of the day. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But then my money line parlay mixed across a few sports. I've got the Mets, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Phoenix Suns. Pretty good odds on that. And then I've got a few Masters bets just for today. We talked about earlier on in the week some of our winners. I've still got a few of those rolling. But I'm going to bet on Justin Rose to have a rough day today, over 71.5. And then Justin Thomas, I think he's going to rise up the leaderboard. I'm going under 70.5 there. And then they've got some matchups based on pairings today. And I took a parlay of John Rahm over Martin Laird, Scotty Scheffler over Terrell Hatton, and Patrick Reed over Jose Maria
Olazabal.
Okay, thanks. Got that. I think those are 3 pretty good safe bets, and you get that at plus 204 odds. So I'm really happy with that one. But I'll give it back to you to go over your bets.
Yeah, and before we get into that, we'll just recap some of the bets that have already landed for our Masters preview episode. Thank you for everyone that watched that. It's been getting great reviews. We had a blast doing it. We can talk Masters all day, every day. And there we go. Pat Tucker chiming in. He bet on Spieth Thursday, and it made him nervous on Thursday. But yes, he's coming back hard. His putter's been hot. And that's been the one thing I always judge Jordan Spieth by. He is not going to be the most accurate off the tee. He's going to struggle, but once he gets it on the green, if he's got putts that look like they're going in every single time, which he has this week, it's normally a good weekend for him. But we started the week. I got one bet win on Thursday right off the bat. I took a hole in one on 16. There were all kinds of odds. You could take a hole in one just period, or you got better odds if you win a hole in one on a specific hole. I went with a hole in one on 16, and they switched the pin location to the traditional Sunday location on Thursday. And there's a little bit more information on that we might get to, but Tommy Fleetwood helped me out there, got a hole in one. So we hit that one. I took a top debutante in Will Zalatoris. And I think that's going to be a pretty lock right now. He's in the final group today. All he's got to do is not get to 8 under or 8 over. And then 2 of my top 5s, or 2 of my winners I placed bets on are cut. Can't lay in DJ, but I still have Xander, Spieth, and Thomas. So with that recap of where we're at from the Masters preview show, we'll get into the Masters, or the bets I took this week. Spieth and Thomas in the top 5. I said enough about Jordan Spieth. His putter's on fire. He's rising and getting better at this course every single day. And I think it's just a confidence thing. When you are struggling as a golfer, especially a pro, And we all have this. We all know a course in our mind right now that if you're not playing your best, please don't let my Saturday group be there. Like, that's not the course I want to play, right? For me, it would be a Royal New Kent or a Riverfront. Those are two courses out here that you have to be on your cues to really excel and enjoy your round. So if you put that on the pros level, Augusta is not the course you want to come into when you're struggling. Look at Rory McIlroy. Look at Jason Day. Look at Brooks Koepka. Brooks wasn't even playing poorly. He was just coming off injury, and the course ate him up. So, I mean, with Jordan Spieth coming in the way he did, I think his progression every day has shown you that his confidence is getting higher and higher. And I like him to be in the top 5. And Justin Thomas, we talked about it on Wednesday. I really feel like he's playing for his granddad. I really do. His granddad wanted to see him win a Masters. He's always talked about that hug on 18 and all the iconic hugs we've seen after rounds on 18 and sharing that with his granddad. And that's been taken from him, unfortunately. And so I think there's some added motivation for Justin Thomas to get into to win this tournament. And I think that's why a safe bet is Spieth and Thomas in the top 5. Top lefty, I took that in the beginning and I'm still riding with it. You can still get on it. Bubba Watson will be the best finish of all the left-handers. I know he's probably in a tight race with Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson sat on the cut line at +3. I think Bubba Watson was around 1, maybe even. So a little possibility there that Phil could work some magic. But I still like Bubba, and I do like Justin Thomas overall to win. So that is 2 bets. I'm banking on Justin Thomas. I'm not only going with him in the top 5, but I also think he'll win. My 2 locks, Marlins over Mets. I'm taking the over because the Marlins are awful, and they have no pitching whatsoever. And I just feel like the Mets offense has been hot enough right now. They might get 5 or 6 on their own. So all I need the Marlins to do is get lucky and put up 2 runs. I don't care how you do it. I don't know who's going for the Mets.
It's DeGrom.
It's DeGrom. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe, the first 5-6 innings look rough, but I do not find the Mets bullpen to be very deep. So I can see this being a 5-0 game, a 4-0 game going into, say, the 6th or the 7th. And I can see the Marlins putting up a couple and the Mets throwing up a couple more. I like the Mets over the Marlins. And then, or the Mets Marlins over 7. Houston -1.5. I am very confident that they will be able to take care of the Oakland Athletics. Montas is going for the Athletics. But the Athletics have had issues scoring this year. I feel like they can get base runners on. They just haven't been able to get them in. And Houston has been doing the exact opposite. Houston is having very much success getting runners across the plate. And as much as it hates and pains me to take a cheater, I like money in my pocket. So I'm going with Houston -1.5. And then my upset today, we talked about it, Tampa Bay +1.5 up against the Yankees. Look, I don't think that the Tampa Bay Rays can win this game. I just like the starting pitching matchup. Archer versus German. I trust Archer more to get a longer amount of innings in over German for the Yankees. And because of that, I don't think the Yankees offensive bats really start exploding until he exits the game or late in it, in his start. So that's why I think the Rays can absolutely stay within a 1.5 of the Yankees. It might end up being, it can't be a push. It might be a 2-run loss, but I just see this being a 1-run game. And that's my 3-2-1 for the weekend. So I'm going to throw it back, JT, best bets and Masters bets. Going a little overachiever this Saturday morning. I love it.
Yeah, trying to make up for last week. I apologize to anyone that followed me and had a rough weekend. But so I've got 8 picks for you. Marlins Mets under 7. I like what you said there. I don't trust the Mets bullpen as well. So this one does scare me, especially that the numbers come down. Most baseball over-unders usually sit around 8.5. So down to 7, it's rough, but this is a principal pick for me. Every 5 days, I take a Jacob deGrom start under whatever the total is, and more times than not, it makes me money. So if anyone follows me on this today, I'm telling you that if you do it for a whole season, you will see positive results. The bullpen may ruin it in this one, but over a long season, he is pretty consistent at not giving up more than 2 runs. So I like that. And then Cubs Pirates under 8.5. These are just 2 bad offensive teams. They scored 42 total runs in 14 games. So that's 3 per game average total for both teams.
Not
So
good.
you've got the Cubs unders have hit in each of their last 6 games. The Pirates, going back to last year, unders have hit in 10 of their last 15. Mitch Keller is going for the Pirates, and he's a young pitcher, struggled in his first outing, gave up, I think, 3 runs in 3 innings. I think he comes back and bounces back a little bit and puts up a good 5-inning outing. So I don't think either team scores much runs here. So under 8.5 is the bet. And then you say Kikuchi over strikeouts. I think it's probably going to be around 5.5. He had 10 strikeouts in his first outing. He's a rookie this year. And the Twins lineup is filled with strikeout candidates. Miguel Cano has 14 strikeouts in 7 games this year. So he's averaging 2 strikeouts a game. And then most of their regulars have at least 5 strikeouts through 7 games. So you've got some pretty good candidates there to get at least 1 strikeout. So I think he gets the over and goes about 5 or 6 innings strong and keeps that game close. And then my last straight up baseball bet is the A's money line going against you there, but I think it's mainly because of the value you get here. The A's have struggled out of the gates, so this has kind of ballooned a little bit with the Astros playing well. But Jose Urquidy is out there for the Astros today. He's not one of the. I think he's on the back end. I think he's the 5th starter for the Astros. And I think this is just a game where Mitch Moreland, Matt Chapman, and Elvis Andrus, who have been struggling very bad this year, I think this is a game where they bounce back and put up some runs and squeak it out. This is a flyer. This is an underdog pick. I wanted to pick something that wasn't a favorite today. So that's where I'm going. And then my parlay for the day with a bunch of heavy favorites, I'm going the Mets against those bad Marlins. The Hurricanes are number 1 in their division, and outside of a little 3-game skid last month where they lost 3 in a row, they're 15-2. So they're rolling right now, trying to keep up and stay in the number 1 spot in their division. So I'm going to go again with them against the bad Red Wings team. The Nets going up against the Lakers without LeBron and AD. And the Suns, they just lost, but that was against a good Clippers team on a back-to-back. They'll bounce back against against a bad Wizards team. So that 4-game parlay is sitting at plus 117. So I think those are 4 pretty safe bets, and you get plus odds there. So those are my baseball bets of the day, and a little bit of basketball and hockey. But everybody is going to be watching the Masters, so I'll give my quick little 2 cents on that. You're the golf guy. I agree with everything you said about Justin Thomas. This is his weekend to try and go win this thing. So I'm going under 70.5. I think he puts up a good round. And then at some point, Justin Rose has to stop hitting good shots on the back 9. He's played 2 good rounds there. And fun stat that I told you before we started here, he led after 36 holes in 2004. So he's leading again after 36 holes. That he is that 17-year stretch is the longest between 36-hole leads at the Masters in the history of the tournament. So I think good for him. Glad to see him playing well, but I think he struggles a little bit today and shoots over par to bring him back down into the middle of the pack. And then you can see my 3 pairings there. I just like what John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, and Patrick Reed are doing out there. And you've got 3 other guys that don't have much experience at Augusta. So I think those 3 pull out victories in their pairings, and you get that at plus 204. So you can double up your money pretty quick there with those 3 pairings.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard because you see Jose Maria Olazabal there and you're like, wow, that's a Masters champion. But he kind of backdoored into making the cut a little bit. And I mean, he knows the course, he knows the breaks. I think where he's got the the cards stacked against him. And you heard Mike Weir talk about it yesterday in his post round conference there. It's the distance. It really is. I mean, when you're playing to postage stamp greens that are rock hard and you have a 4-foot landing zone, there's a big difference between coming at that with a 7 or an 8 iron and a 6 or a 5 iron. It just comes off the club face different.
What year did he win?
I will look that up.
Because that does make sense that if it was a while ago, that the course is much longer than it was when he won it. So
yeah, he's a 2-time winner. He won in 94 and 99.
Okay, so yeah, that I don't know how much yardage has been added since then, but I know that it's a good bit.
Yeah, it's been a lot. And to be honest with you, it's just the distance over time. I mean, Mike Weir is not. I mean, he's older, but he's not Jose Maria Olafable older, but he's saying the same thing. I mean, if you can't, there's certain areas at this course, and they are not placating to the field. Now, I know they invite the field, but they are placating to maybe the top 20, 25 golfers in the field. And you've got to hit bombs. You do. And if you, I mean, look at 13, okay, 13 or 15 even, notorious for what iron are they going to hit? It's a par 5. It's a 500+ yard par 5. And we're talking about what iron. And I think DJ yesterday, before he hit it in the water, of course, came up just short, but he hit driver 7 iron into a 565 yard par 5. Now, I know it's downhill and he can get to the speed gap and all of that stuff, but it's just amazing to me, some of the irons they're taking. And I get what they're saying. If you don't, there's a huge difference. So I like that pick, Reed over Olafable. Scheffler is just hot at the right time, and Hatton started falling off yesterday. So I love that. And John Rahm could be 18 shots back on Sunday making the turn, and he thinks he can still win the tournament. So John Rahm has, I think, the mentality overlaid there. The only thing I saw there, I don't know if Justin Rose is going to shoot 2 over or worse. I can see him stumbling, but like you said, every week or every day this week, once he gets to hole 8, it's lights out. Yeah. Right now, yesterday he struggled bad. I think he was 2, 3 over going into the 8th hole. He was snap hooking drives
because he came all the way back to 4 under. So he started the day at 7. So he was 3 over at that point. Right.
So, I mean, he dropped a lot of shots, and then he got to the number 8, and he was like, oh, hey, here's my comfort zone. It's just going to be a matter of if he's got pressure. And
who's he paired up with?
He is paired with my top debutant, Will Zalatoris, who came on so strong late yesterday in the afternoon. I think he keeps rolling off of that. I don't see Justin Rose doing a blow up on moving day. They have put these pins in such terrible locations for scoring the last 2 days. I feel like Saturday is a good day for him to stay kind of in contention. I don't think he'll be in the lead. I like him to shoot 2, 3, 4 over par tomorrow. Okay. But I could see it. I mean, he's got to stumble at some point. History just tells us, unfortunately, that Justin Rose is going to struggle in the Masters at some point. I mean, we talked about it before the show. He is now tied with Jack Nicklaus for the most first-round leads in Masters history. The only problem is Jack Nicklaus has 7 green jackets, and Justin Rose has none. So, but a lot of solid bets there. From the golf world. I love everything about it except for that Justin Rose one. And then your baseball picks. You said something about the A's, and that's kind of where I think we bet a little different. You said that Chapman and all of them, eventually they're going to have to get out of this slump. I will bet against a slump until they lose me money. That's why we're against it. The same reason I picked them is the opposite reason why you picked them.
I always try to bet like a team, people have to get to the mean, like they have to get to their average at some point. So I'm always trying to find where that spot's at. So I think those are definitely 2 different ways to look at betting. You can either wait until bet against somebody until they prove you wrong, or try to catch them on the uptrend. Once they get down, bet on them to come back. So that is an interesting view to see two different types of bettors.
Yeah, and then Pat made a good point there. Someone we haven't talked about, Cam Smith, sitting there. He's in what, 4th or 5th right now? No, he's down a little bit further. I think he's in like the 10th. But that's a great point, Pat, because he was in the final pairing and actually puts a little bit of pressure on DJ Sunday in November. The only problem is that DJ started the day off like 6 shots above the field. So DJ struggled like we knew DJ was going to, but he had enough cushion, and Smith just couldn't make some putts down the stretch to put more pressure on him. So I love that.
He's currently sitting at 2 under, five shots back.
All right. So what does that have him as? He in 10th, 9th?
Tied for 13th.
Tied for 13th. So the only thing I will say, be wary on Smith. Last year was his first appearance at the Masters, and the course he played in November is not the course he's playing right now. And I think that's the big difference. Now, I know that there was a triple or a double and a bogey back-to-back yesterday, I think on 14 and 15 for him. That really was the difference between being 5 under and being 2 under. So who knows? He could. I don't think that any of these people that even Dustin, I mean, look at what happened to Dustin Johnson, right? He just ran away and set scoring records in November and didn't make the cut a couple months later.
It's crazy how different of a golf course it is.
And it's just about what you can do with the grass. I mean, it's not and a lot of people don't know this, like their golf season, I think it's November through March is the only time they're open. Like you can't go play it if you're not in the Masters, and it's November through March and April. Like that's what they do. They shut the course down, and they are a warm weather type of grass. And then they came in there in November. We talked about it earlier. They overseeded with the rye and the Bermuda because those are cool weather grasses, and they can absorb the heat and the damage and repair and just sit there dormant if they need to. But that's not what this T95 Eagle that they're on is not the same. And another thing I learned that I did not know, they actually, and it's really impressive, they actually cut the fairways back towards the tee boxes so that when the ball lands, it's actually digging in to the grain. And that's one of the changes they made, because the property at Augusta is so tightly designed, right? There's only but so much they could do to increase distance. And a couple of years ago when the boys were getting big, I think it was back in like 2004, 5-ish, they lengthened Augusta, but they can only lengthen it so much. And that was one of the things they did to make the course longer, was they started cutting the fairways back towards the tee boxes so that when you hit, the ball went into the grain, and it was preventing some of the rollouts, which is just amazing to me considering how much rollout we see. But there is a lot of downhill we can't see and stuff like that. But overall, JT, your bets are strong.
I like yours as well. We're going up against each other in a couple, but the picks that we aren't going up against each other, I think we're gonna have a strong day. I think this is gonna be a day where we're sitting at even right now because we struggled. Well, I struggled last week. I brought us down, but I really see us coming back next week and being a few units up, getting back into the positive.
I love that. So again, thank you to Pale Horse Coffee and the Patriot Blend. We can't wait to try the Neptunes. That'll be the next on our list. I think we've agreed on that. And for JT and Brandon here with Brewed Bets, bet safely, enjoy the Masters, enjoy being responsible, and we'll catch y'all next Saturday.